What's up, everybody? My name is Kaylin, and we are back at Pyoki's Lake with another episode of going through all of these watery memories. So, I think because I'm still trying to integrate very disparate notions as it relates to flat Earth, certain things I heard from rather experimental intellects like myself, who I really appreciate. Some of the comments I've been getting, some of my subscribers. I have a subscriber who also has these playlist contents, and it just recapitulated a whole lot of things as it pertains to just the foundation of my esoteric teachings, because I've always kind of like been interested in these things exoterically, I suppose, and esoterically. Like, I was always trying to figure out the deeper meanings and so on, but I never had it like down to like a science. I was always kind of like just Ketu and Pisces about it, and now more Mars in Virgo, North Noding, and 10th house capping the process, because I have Neptune in Capricorn and it trines my Mars, so there's just a very vulcanizing Chitra element to my bull's eye right now. And I don't know if it's like a Dasha period or what it is. Like, I'm just like, I'm not mathematical about astrology like that. Like, the numbers can talk to me, the words can talk to me, the shapes and the geometries and the colors and everything can talk to me, except like, okay, this fixed equation that's going to go from left to right and it's going to mean something. Like, I don't get it. Like, if I've heard the equation, like the Riemann's hypothesis, explained to me or something like that, my mind will just mentally picture that equation and just like shape it into all these other things. And yeah, so I've just really been thinking about just the plasticity of imagination, what it means to manifest. Interestingly, I think the comment I got told me that my process allows them to activate their imagination, which I really appreciated, because it allows me to stay focused in terms of trusting the process and not be derailed by just like internal criticism, doubts that I have. Just like, as a Virgo, right, feeling like I could edit things better, I could present it better, but at the same time I don't want to split the Virgo through a Blavatsky and Libra duping of myself, because what I realized is that I can't really do it, because I am not divine androgynes, I am not Ra, I am not Shu and Tefnut and all these pyramid schemes of like tripolarized light. I am the whole light. I am not the unholy spirit. I am not the positive, negative, neutral. I am the all, and just the fact that our esoteric cipher has been telling us words like all is Venus double Neptune, I don't have it pulled up in front of me right now, so I'm just trying to tap in. What was I thinking about? I was thinking about like when I flip the cipher to have the blue shift in the ascendant via the moon, right? And everything my subscribers playlist had just as this flashback for my own. I've been down your rabbit hole. I've been I've been through those videos and ideas and contexts um maybe this is like me being unsolicited in my advice, um but because I also want to figure out like what does it mean to manifest, and so I'm going to be using just the metaphor of Maui pulling up the islands in Moana, and his hook, which is the Jedi eye, the fish hook within my name, so there's a little bit of Maui in me. So, yeah, and I just had the idea of an island as a placenta that's been um grown, petrified, solidified. I don't know, because I really think we are. I don't want to even use the word divine anymore because it has the divisional diva connotations, everything that we've been learning through Mariah Carey, divine androgynes, the Alpha Centauri Pleiadian gold and silver split of your moony moon eye Taurus field, your Uranus, your true Uranus, because I think I read somewhere like your sphincter is something that forms first, Uranus. So it's a very interesting, and then like how that translates into like the one drop of blood, and like until you eventually like have a heartbeat and you have a placenta that's attached to your mother nature, and you as a twin to that, as a spirit of Elohim floating upon the face of the waters. Like all of these symbols have been perhaps turned against us in just how the narrative was disseminated. Like who was the face of these narratives? What halo effects did they have? Even thinking of myself as South African, seeing the contrast of Zulu shaman, elder, great one, Credo Mutwa, and yeah, and then me thinking to myself, like, should I not be into ancestral worship? What is worship? I think once I read it means to work for, and just the very David Icke notions of like working for gold, mining gold for the Anunnaki, right? Bringing all of that back to just like a Maleucine building of a castle, whore of Babylon, riches and gold, Solomon, the kingdom of milk and honey and plenty and soul, omen, moon, all yoked together as this cosmic egg, which we see they re-engineer a Big Bang theory. Like it's all very psychosexual, right? We've discussed these things in the past, but the way the altars are birthed with the serpent fire going down and up, but inverted, because the woman's fire naturally goes down and the man's fire naturally goes up. So inverted serpent fire in like a singer, castrata, urania, anurada, niditi, aditi, jeshta, mula, split of punarvasu, which is Artemis and Aditi, the nourishing part of the Prakriti, which we know the literal like final pada of Gemini's Punarvasu Nakshatra, and the very first pada of Punarvasu in Cancer Nakshatra, the next pada over is Jupiter's exaltation point, the way we naturally scheme it. But because Scorpio Oxman plotted Asterian astrology onto mastering the zodiac, those cusps also kind of moved a little bit around, like Pushya sits between Cancer and Leo, which makes that Navamsha pada in a D9, D9, 9 ether perspective of being, whereas the 6 ether perspective of being would like refract the light in a way that kind of like draws it in this weird way. But also what we heard about castrati, the common law of the church, mutilation, and just the idea of this altar and this alternative birth chart and a get out programming that is implanted perhaps as a polyp on your vocal cord that brings the registers and the notes and the things for you that you have to sleep for. And like, it's very Piscean, it's very, what is that movie, Requiem for a Dream? And so the fact that I was told like I actually stimulate someone's manifestation because they've been trying to manifest using the imagination, and that my videos gives them a workout. You guys can check in my videos for the comments. I just want to like be giving my subscriber also just the fair privacy to that contextual revelation that it gave me. But because I'm just like such a, like, I personalize, like I can't speak to you right now like without knowing that I'm speaking to you specifically. So what I would say to you and to anybody who can find this useful is, I had an, and I'm gonna come back to the Maui thing because I don't want to forget, and the placenta thing and the pulling off the islands and the inverted altars and the divine androgyne splits and the pyramid schemes and the, I almost want to, is it Shamaim or, yeah, it's also very Samael and abysmal Apollo mermaid spirits and everything we've been trying to say in the context of the Capricorn Seago devilized Makara, of the Lucifer Homosolaris Monosaurus Virgo Cornucopia natural Parsi hidden buried gold at Uranus, which our cipher did overlay to the 11th with Virgo in one of the rising signs, which is interesting because Virgo is the 11th house to Scorpio rising. If the sun is branched off from Vishaka as a split altar situation and then bringing that into the galactic center through the eye of the needle, and just like everything I heard on Hereditary, Paimon, the clock, the voice, the BBC documentary, these chimeric notions, the world card, I just like, I feel so like offensive for the edges to these things that somehow it just like, it doesn't feel like it belongs together because I've never heard it said like strung together like the way I'm saying it. But that's also part of my initiation channel and synthesis channel, needing to bipolarize and tripolarize and non-polarize and circumpolarize myself, because it's also very castrating of Urania. It's very burying a certain girl in my subconscious, Lilith, Hasta. It's very, yeah, it's very chimeric, trying to manifest in the images of these altars. And if we try to picture ourselves as an altar of ourselves, we are actually like inverting ourselves. And it's very Medusa gaze to the Athena being, I almost want to say like Athena turned the rape of Poseidon against Medusa. And if we think of Venus, fire nakshatra is the center of fire signs, that Bharani nakshatra that looks like next to Kritika a very knifed out yoni. Yeah, it just like it makes me think of like the um the animation of the Egyptian creation story that I always reference. And whether that is true Egyptian, whether the theory of what David Icke had of what Egyptian civilizations was syncretic in understanding to what Credo Mutwa knew as his ancestral knowledge, and everything through a University of Cosmic Intelligence thing that I saw on your playlist. You also had that channel either being subscribed to it or having a video posted of it or something like that. Forgive me, I'm a snoop, I'm a Scorpio, and like I check things out for just like all sides of whatever it like triggered within me, because the very first thing it triggered within me was like, oh no, like don't get into like the keto diamond stealing of my like my realm, right? I think that was the word that was used, because it is very, the kingdom is within you. You need to create your own realm. You need to like birth these words into images and likenesses that your living word can be amused with in the Saraswati of everything that it carries. Even if you paint your wagon and call the wind Mariah, you know, Pocahontas says, I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name, Alash Ravana, Apollo. So just the lyra of that, the muses of that, the everything that it was supposed to be as a teaching of our ancestors, to have defenses against the giants and the petrified atlases and the books and the grimoires and the skeletal spells of everything that our eye can gaze into, and just like carve out a world within ourselves, right? Check out my video on Sivan Boma of these things also, like technologically being superimposed, I almost want to say. And yeah, it literally makes me think the world is kind of like upside down, and like it's not that I don't feel like I'm very solid, like feeling my feet right now. Oh, they are dirty. You know, actually, I literally like, I killed a spider right now, and I was so annoyed with myself for the disrespect of life, because Mommy spider maybe wouldn't have like bitten me and devoured me and poisoned me or laid a bunch of eggs in me, like just very, you know, like whatever my subconscious fear just made me do it right now. But I was also like, ugh, I can't take the risk, because it was a very big poisonous type of spider, and if you guys can hear, the wind is wailing. So because I live next to a brook, you know, there's lots of little creepy crawlies that will sometimes accompany us. And yeah, bringing it back to just the dream times and the Aboriginal stories of serpents and spiders and scary creatures that weave this reality, right? Ruachs and Elohims and giants and mermaids and fantastical beasts and divas and androgynes and makaras, golden phalluses, golden asses, paimons, like kings of hellfire, Frollo, like fire, hellfire. So yeah, like I'm just thinking like hellfire is your perception of yourself. So if that has been turned against you because you strive to manifest in an image and likeness that is false, your soul is what burns in that truth, because truth is that flaming sword, or just the iterations of what I've heard about it. So it's like your bodily chemistry getting out of equilibrium, and like, you know, like me, when I stress, I get like indigestion, or I don't eat, or like, yeah, I just like sometimes I get so like hypochondriac about like things like diet, or like you are what you eat, they say, and then I'm like, oh, I could smell it, you know. So it's just like, look at what the videos that I posted, also the 5 principles of organized complexity, because it really brings the scientific principle into like how the planetary functional lights as archetypes code for our natal chart synthesis process, because it is these living words, these crystals and light codes and everything in the Mary Sea of star seeds. I think one of the background pictures of that androgyne, it was like a stag's full of stars, well, deer, and it reminded me of like the Rohini and everything, Oshun, Obatala, and just like the inverted bisexuality, pansexuality of that Baphomet spirit, which in a Capricorn way, in a however way we want to see that Baphomet as masculine, it's still very inky feminine yin, and it's like this inverted yin, and in the sense that the sun and light and water and Leo and everything that we've been Kabbalistically deciphering back through the Tree of Life onto Neptune through the Art and Uranus hidden in that context, what we learned about the moon veiling Vulcan, what we've just been learning in so many different ways, enneagrams and stuff like that. Every picture is a functional light. It's like a photon. It's like that which carves out prima mobile into crystalline seas, because you are adding the Neptune out into form, and you see the Venus. Like, look at those words that you have heard in terms of manifestation on the cipher, and look at what it's actually like cutting out, or what it's like bringing to a T, or what it is splitting by an S. Because the L and the I in the middle of that S and P, you know, sapiosexually, and make love to yourself, LOVE, you know, see the U, see the W, and to bring it back to like the MW Mountain Mermaid split of just the Moana, Maui, and the Te Fiti Te Ka. I think what is actually being hidden from us when they tell you what happens with placentas and stuff, look at the Innoverse podcast and Slick Dissident's work and Chance Garden. Yeah, if you want more on the Promethean notions and just like these avataristic Kalki impulses of an inverted Christ, like they are the giants of old, the immortals, the eternals, the heroes and demigods, the androgynes, the, you know, and like if the Davidic pantheon, like it's very discombobulating to say Vedic, right? Because we know there's like Tamil, and there is North and South and this and that, and whatever Indo-European is supposed to mean, Indo-Iranian, like just in terms of David, Dravidian, 9 ether beings, the blue, black, the indigo, and just all these kind of like genetic racehorsing of breeding those features into white horses that you know, like a la Mariah Carey. It's like they become the magnum opus of this alchemical process. And whatever they are, it's not necessarily to be like, in every sense, they are a castrato, right? They can be in whatever other way they can like gender bend. Um, but specifically what it meant for the voice and just the Shaktis and the water and the Yin and the Leo and the Mercury and the Neptune and the everything you need to belt and to whistle with the Saturn airiness and all of those things. The cryptids of like what she says describing her voice, what happened when she would wake up one morning that she don't really remember, maybe because she was drugged, groggy, and she literally described it like being groggy. I would wake up and like I tried doing a very bad impression of that, but anyway, because I got struck for copyright when I tried to use those clips in a different edit of that video. When I played the audio too loud and didn't impose my voice. So yeah, even the fact that I had to do that, if that helps you in any way to understand what I'm trying to say, like your voice and your image is your holiest of holies. Um and the fact that it becomes fractalized, kaleidoscopic, all these peacock, Raholian, demonic, crystallized gazes of all these cold, contracted, you know, Shutterbishop circles of like, no, I need to stay in this binding. I need to focus on that. I need to have this singular, like, I need to see money. I need to prey on money. Like, those are the eidolons. Those are the trinkets of Hephaestus. Those are the siphoning words that reverse engineer your Shakti to kind of like take from you to give to you. And because you have perhaps the cognitive dissonance of non-integrated or dualistic understanding, because you understand duality and the multi-dimensional muse speak is unity, where it's all at once and no time, and it's, you can look at every archetype and like I can go from Mariah Carey and see Hollywood. You know, I can take Beyonce and I can do the same. For the men, I can do it with the Brad Pitts and the Rocks, and you know, like it's in their name. It's how they play on these words, how they are puns of being a Taurus because they are an inverted Taurus, you know, and how they like are avataristically reincarnated through either witchcraft or the attachment of this altar or this attachment of the spirit to like the silver cord, the cord that connects you to your galactic expansion, which was that growth of the placenta, which was your Artemis nourishing milk before you had a mother, right? That was Mother Nature to you. Yeah, and the whole 6-9 of even that and the Cancer process of overlaying the Taurus on that cipher to that, it all brings out of you what your peak and your eye and your Punarvasu and the rose of yourself would be, even if like you are told by their God that in your lower form you are a beast, because they will see you as food, they will see you as a like every stock and cut and rib and skin and bone and like everything they can make out of that, right? They can make jewelry out of that. They just like, they don't do it as gruesomely as our necropolises tell us what has been buried, what has been ritually sacrificed. You know, that's why my name is like at Pure Keys Lake, because Kaylin, the key keeper, I was that lake into which people sacrificed. And it's not like I don't, it's like I believe these things, but in a very whimsical, nostalgic Leo in the ninth house way that isn't supposed to be archontic and giving praise or taking anything away from myself, right? Like these things are supposed to energize me and revitalize me and provide the same shocking shaktis of like light codes to you guys. Because now that I am activated, you know, with what I want to have as the true whole spirit, and not a hole and a Y Pluto in the abyss of formlessness spirit, but a whole E spirit. And that's why they turn being gay against us. Oh, you're just like a hole to come in. You're just like a buck to be bred. You this and you that. Like they turn these things very racially against us, even in porn and things like that. So, like, I'm just saying, like, what Rashad Jamal's worldview came into as a vision and a revelation for him, and how he's going through a world stage castrating process or a butt breaking process or a put you in your place to be like, no, you need to be a man in a dress. We're gonna cut you and we're gonna dress you and band-aid you, and yeah, it's like emasculating the true masculine fire, because it's like, no, that is toxic, that is aggressive, that is this, that is that. You know how many times in my life I've been told I am toxic, when the very reason I would act like that, it was to like show what I internalized, what came to the crown, and what is now like literally like in my whole being, because it's like so hormonally adrenalized through my entire spirit of my blood that I just want to like stand up for myself. I want to fight back. I want to say fuck no. Like, you don't get to fuck me over. You don't get to like rape me with these thoughts that I don't want, you know. And that's why like these mermaid spirits, they give you low self-esteem, because they are so esteemed. They are literally inflated with Jupiterian air, and I have Jupiter trining my sun, so I know how the hell it feels to be inflated on your own air. And yeah, like I've been just like so many aspects to these archetypes, and now it's just like, okay, you can be, it's not about manifesting, because the man I faced ing, um you are trying to like hit a God note within yourself in form, and God is particularly elusive to that, right? The elusive chanteuse, right? The play that she did on that. Me, I am Mariah, Raya, Ram. Like I am the right ascension of Meridian inverted against you, because you think I'm an Aries, but actually I'm an Aquarius. And it's just this whole like Aquarian notion of like what our outpour should be, like what should we penalize and penalize, what should we pen is and penis, and just like everything corny that comes from it, cornholing, Osiris, like it's always playing on the same roots of these stories. And our ancestors must have been so brilliant in just like the black matter, pure light, Homo Solaris capturing, even if they were being, you know, because here's the thing, we have to have a what came first, a chicken or the egg. And why they will ask you that riddle is because they will get a brown or a white or some off-colored egg. But the chicken will be all sorts of, will be all the colors, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like even like the golden key symbolism. Everything I've been saying about Nelson Mandela Babs maybe being a plant, a tree of life, like we were watering that stag, but it could have been like he was in Robben Island, and we know like in South Africa, the robins are like seals. So yeah, that fat, and why did it seal? Because while he made it out, right, he survived, so he wasn't deprived of fat to the point where he had to like go into his muscles and emaciate and die consuming himself. So I'm just saying, like, there were queens meeting with him, there were prime ministers and people and all sorts of people negotiating South Africa's freedom with him, right? How much of that happened behind the scenes and how much we actually are privy to, and what is just the myth that has been polished, and just the staggering things that have been like said, but it's like they didn't say it, and the double speak of it all. Just the 1984 of it all. Like the 8 divided by 4 is 2. The 19 is a Libra symbol, the 1 and the 9. What we saw as the through 1 Aries and the right ascension of meridian point is a 9. And so yeah, when the moon is going through all these phases and being new, being full, and reflecting all these angles and stuff, giving us all these aspects and angels and scrying and angels cry and like the voices of heaven and like everything that we were in our Atlantean and that era, like before the Middle Ages. God knows when the 1984 programming, butterfly programming has, like, even when I think of like the butterfly effect, and I think I have a note here somewhere where I just tried to like write something about, let me see. Oh, I was mentioning like to myself like how I was gonna react to a Mariah Carey video with Lesage singing, where he really describes like the cricoid tilting and the different ways that like you fatten the vocal folds to produce these belted notes, and where just like he goes into so much detail breaking down Mariah Carey's voice, right, quite literally. And so what I wrote there is the Bernoulli effect reminded me of the butterfly effect, because the way he describes the chords coming together between like airy falsetto voiced singing versus full voiced belted chord closured singing, and just like the velocity and just like the butterfly sonic of that and the rainbow colorings of that, and knowing how to use mic techniques and like analog film, or like, you know, the way they would record it back in the day to make records, right? All these gramophonics that harken back to the Saturnian tree ring cut of the tree of life, and now it's just these rings, and oh, you can see this season when it was watered, and now you can see this season when it was barren, and like that's what you see on the tree ring, right? And meanwhile, like the tree is still like doing this Ouroboros thing. So it just got me thinking of like Maui, the islands, pulling up islands like that hook. What it made me think of like the ocean inviting Moana in with a seashell. And just like all the masculine drive that she had with Maui as kind of like a spirit animal guide, who she had to find to restore the heart of Te and figuring out it was her in this isn't who you are, you know who you are, who you really are moment. You know, it also made me think of like a movie, where the boy saw his mom die, and then he had this whole imaginary thing of like the canker man, but because of how he misconstrued the word cancer, he said canker man. But I think it's actually a very coded, I actually got a chill now. it's a very coded reference to like this inverted butterfly effect of like your own power that like because of what you consent to consciously, subconsciously, the image gazing as your Medusa, the Shatterbishak lock of that elitism that our Punarvasu vanity wants to like cut the carrot of a diamond into, right? To be like worthy of the queenly scepters and the kingly crowns. Um, it's just like ironic how in the diva and the devo, like what they do with mics and albums and stages and just their garb, their adornments, their trinkets, their jewelry, their cosmetics, like all of these things that are very fallen angel technological syncs to just that the Shah Jamal world, meeting up with the Sivan Boma world, meeting up with the David Icke world, meeting up with the Credo Mutwa world, meeting up with like the biracial world of myself, and the serpent yet rainbow symbolism of myself, and the Mariah Carey symbolism through which I identified through in building my own voice and trying to figure out what is my range, what notes can I hit, what can I imitate, what can't I duplicate, um, creativity, channeling, writing, music, the muses, all of those words in a non-co-opted way can be so beautiful, right? They can be so, and I think that's the challenge, and that is the great work of like knowing that words are loaded, right? Seminally because of all the meanings that are behind them. And then you building an edifice of drishti gaze, Venusian fire, refinement of like Athena, Aries, wisdom, enigmatic one, perfectionism out of the enthusiastic seven, all those seven colors of the rainbow becoming one light again. That's when I think manifesting in the true and the non-inverted sense makes the kingdom within, without, above, below, all time, no time, it is here, it is now. Because I think people think like if I'm gonna focus on like I need money or I need a piano or this or that, then I should only focus on that. I should look into that mirror like Medusa and, you know, not be petrified by any other image of myself. I need to castrate those images. I need to like see it as organzic. Or like, yeah, like, oh, that's my Atlas Atlantean petrified holding up a different world of grimoire, like necropolises, astrological necromancies, archetypal Parsis, um, you know, so just the pursuit and the true hippocampal journey that Santos was cluing us into, and the making love within yourself, being like your own, like be your own breeding wife and breeding husband, be your own image that you make love to, be your own embodiment of I am rich, I am wealthy, I have everything that I want, I have everything that I need. It comes to me just as I need it. Real-time syncretism happens for me, not in a like, don't use words like it was day, like this is not me preaching now because it's part of the journey of discovering how to work with them, right? But once these things can become mutable, right, it's really about seeing like every crystal or photon or sand kernel as the potential to be polished and pulled and refracted and lighted and all of that. So even when I speak, for example, and I think of one word and how a word opens up a whole world for me, and then I can just kind of like run around it, like just circumpolar or circumnavigating it, or equatorial, equinocting, an equality point of ascending to it, descending to it, tapping into the root, but being also like MC, Capricorn, back to me, you know, like, and it's always this muse speak, double speak, that it's like, it's, you shouldn't confuse yourself, you shouldn't, um, you should have unity speak within yourself. And yeah, it's not about like I'm speaking to the ethers and I'm putting my moistures and my altars and my sages and my all my elements around me, and I'm like squaring the circle and I'm circling the square and all of that. Like, you already are that. Like, when you close your eyes, the butterfly effect happens. When you speak, the Bernoulli effect happens. When you isn't the Bernoulli effect also that thing that Sheldon mentions with like with the train? Even the fact that Sheldon pulled down his pants on a stage and he was like, "Yes, Uranus," literally telling us like this inverted satire of like, yeah, I am Uranus. I'm a reflection or an inversion of Uranus. You're you raw. You are raw. You are loose. You are sun. You know, Uranus, sun backwards. You are Rahu, or you know, Ura. Let me just think. Uranus. So yeah, even if I cut that in a little inverted, it could be like Ra you. I don't know, like I'm just thinking like play with the words. Um yeah, like dildo your mind. Um and I'm glad if I can like help anybody else like fuck themselves over, because it really is about that. And I know I try to be funny, and I know I also try to be like I have all these different altars to myself as well. Like, okay, this is the altar of being within my sapiosexual form. This is the altar of me being within my academic form. And this is my reading voice. And now I'm gonna start doing accents and, you know, like I can channel Kenji King, I can channel Mariah Carey, I can do all of these things, but like to me it's like calling it that doesn't make me like a channeler, and it doesn't make me like a wizard, and like all these things that I just feel like people look at you funny when you start telling them like, oh, like I'm a psychic. No, I just like I think to myself what it could mean, and then like something tells me what it means, and I don't know what that thing is, but I think it's me. And as long as I'm alive, because that is my joy and my bliss to like not know, because I'm a Gemini, I think therefore I am. Um, Everything my Aquarius process germinates as a Sag ascendant. It just feeds into the fact that I will still meet you with my sun in the seventh house and be like in my true balanced split trifold light of myself. I think I see my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. Like I can tell you like these where you can find notions of yourself, but like you are yourself. Like it is already in your name that you chose. Look at that name that you chose. So are you just seeing the stars? Are you reading the Mars? CD Sarah Shakti Saraswati. Do you see it? It's in your name, girl. It's in your name. Be that because you already chose that. It's not even like I need to try and do it. And that none of that takes away from manifesting results, because manifesting results is doing and being. And if you can bring your imagination to add the magic to it and have the wholeness and trust in yourself that your syncretism is real, your as above so below, as within so without is real, but it's real because of the unity speak within, how it is the moment for you and the things that comes up analogous for you. Embrace all of that. Don't throw any part of your altars away, or an image or likeness that you don't understand or like. Embrace it for the fact that it just teaches you a face that you could, couldn't, would, wouldn't, want, don't want to wear. And photoshopping yourself in the notion of not a deep fake, but through what should be the true, like not the inverted maritime admiralty law of water, but the true law of matter, and not the reflections of matter. So don't manifest upon the reflections that you know. Manifest into it of what you don't know, because that's how your thinking is being stimulated. Even when you listen to people like me or anybody that you already have on your playlist to be able to guide you even further than what I can. Don't make me the altar. Don't make me the realm to channel. Like, it's about building your own realm. Mariah has Mariah's world. For a while I was living in her world, or I traveled to it, or I shopped in there. Like, I took some things for myself. I was a klepto there. Like, I was all these facets of myself, right? But just bringing it back to the return of the good, it's like, can you love all the ideas of your potential? That's basically what I feel like manifesting is, when we look at the high E, F, and the N of Neptune in the ninth, and the E and the F of Uranus, and the S of Jupiter unsplit, or the N, I already mentioned the N. Yeah, and like, even like when I see certain words, right? How a singer is supposed to bring that S from the underworld through the most high form, channeled into the, or channeled from the Neptune in, scrying or remembering or oceanically churning and coagulating the Aphroditean foam of Uranus, the E of Uranus, which was that, it was that note, right? E. There's a lot to be said just about the, like, even in music, the E, right? And even numbers and Venus and everything, Apollonian Libra, Saturn exalting Uranus's sign, Uranus as a hidden, the art sign, Libra being introduced to split Virgo and Scorpio and to hide Ophiuchus. It's very... Your serpent of the deep is your manifester. And the more you can be the peacock of light onto your own parroting self, the more you can be your own Lilith to your Adam, the more you can be your own Shiva to your Shakti, and your Niriti to your Prakriti, because what you are trying to carve out of yourself and build out of yourself, it does require the fire, it does require the water to retain things and to be resistant and to freeze things, and the fire to cut things and to penetrate and to disrupt and be volatile and shake it up. Like, that is the alchemy. You are the crucible, the switch in which that is your craft. So do you see the raft that you need to do on the river of Styx of all the Urania Asterian dots of kaleidoscoping back to yourself as a 9? And beyond numbers and letters and all the crystal codes that can carve into you through language. That is why meditation is advised, but it's been turned against us in terms of this quote-unquote the secret. Let's attract things, let's do this posture and this and that, and then they just plant the thought that like, no, you can like bring a demon in like that, don't open your holes, don't be like this, don't be like that. And just the fact that like, even when I said, for example, like, I smoke, but every time I think about smoking and the fact that my dad has a collapsed lang yeah, literally today I spoke to my dad about how he speaks to himself because he's getting side effects from the prednisones that he's taking, and I was trying to advise him to just invest in like juicing. And just because of me being very appreciative of the pharmacon exposure a la people like Dr. Sebi, Santos Bonacci, Sevan Boma, like Credo Mutwa, like they were like so many greats, right, that notwithstanding race or intersectional policies and who was proven to be this and proven to be that, or cancelled or non-cancelled, or like even if David Icke makes a lot of money touring his stuff, he should be making money because it is his genius that draws that to him, right? But if you are like inverted in the way Mariah Carey and Dwayne The Rock Johnson's, and like, he is the chained rock, he is Prometheus chained to the rock, he is the unbound Prometheus because he looks like this statuesque god, but like he's bound by all these androgynes and blockers and hormones and steroids and stereotypes and sound walls, carving him out into that image and likeness, giving him Venus big dick energy a la Clay Nakti, but it's like it's inverted, guys. So like the fact that the normal guys get emasculated by those types of guys because we don't achieve what they achieve. You know, we don't have the transhumanistic enhancement, we don't have the esoteric knowledge. So how they create wealth from the earth, even the fact that now Bitcoin is a thing, it's just like the same mining for gold. You are the gold. You are the alchemical gold. You are the pot of gold. So what you can create, what you can put your life into, what you can put your words into. That's why every day I get up and I, like, even if like the last couple of episodes have been a little manic because I've just been rather sleep deprived, I get up every day and I give myself, like, I sit and it's like I wait for my genius. And when it comes, I'm like, please don't be the unholy spirit activated. Please don't be this. Please don't be that. Not pandering, not cowering. I'm like being a whole total bitch in my imagination, just like talking to these spirits, like telling them off, being like, where the hell did you come from? I didn't ask for that, this, that, whatever. But all of those things, it's carving out an ego, it's carving out a sword, it's carving out a tongue for you, it's carving out a gaze for you. So when you see the Aquarius and the Aries come together on that snake, that's what your outpour will be. So gazing upon all the notions of yourself and refining it, because that's my gene key 12, that's our gene key 12. Because it's all these lights that we have been split into, and now they have stereotyped it into niches and brands and artistries or careers, carriers. Like, you are just supposed to carry your gift wherever you go. That's why, like me, like I am very bad at like the academic referencing and the shit like that for you guys, and I feel so pained about it, but like it's because I carry the knowledge within me. Like, the whirlpool of pictures is already within me, the YouTube is within me. So yeah, those are just like, because I could have been exposed to the placenta cut, I could have, like, I'm not circumcised, so that part of the sacrificial lamb has not been glanced. But yeah, I didn't have like a normal birth. I have a birth certificate. I don't know if there's money in my account. Like, I don't know these things, but I'm just so fascinated by the fact that it could be all these things. And I'm just like, it's still part of me, because it's like once upon a time I looked at that birth certificate and I was like, I wish that is all the money I have in my account. So just the punarvasu of even that, I manifested that, and no one's gonna fucking take that away from me. Like, no one can take away the fact that it was my personal adding to the space. No one can take away from me that I see primers and makeup products and things on YouTube that I feel like in my dream world I have invented it. I have been in the lab creating those products, those textures, those specific needs addressed. And when I see people explain it and stuff, it's like I have deja vu of these things. Like Shazam, wanting to stream music, because I was always so synesthesiac, like just remembering like a beat or a lyric or something. Then I'm like, and then I'm like, I'm trying to like, just because it always enriches, and like it's always, that's why my channel is called at Pure Keys Lake, because it's like we see what has been sedentary and forming the fossilization and the bedrock of our church. In Afrikaans we call dry kerk droog. So just the Kirk, Captain Kirk, and the Circe of that. Don't be Hansel and Gretel by the fruit of your own tree of life. Don't be fattened by it. Don't be deprived of it. That's just the whole Jupiter Punarvasu needing to learn Ketu and Mula and draining optimally and entropy and everything that is our split. But we are the return of the light. We are the prodigal son. We are the return of the Christos, the semen, and all of that, because our body keeps regenerating it. And immortality, I am mortal, elite, L, why? Well, because they've been castrated from the fountains of life. And if you have not been, you are still blessed. And you can still make a change. Even what I was telling my dad today about his living words versus the grimoire of what he has read on TV, and he's so divided about veganism or meat, not meat, pills, not pills. And I'm like, it doesn't even matter, because the placebo effect is what you put in is what you get out. And heightening your self-awareness does require like sharpening these discriminatory skills, these burning away of altars skills, these magical thinking and sorcering skills to be able to switch so that all the notions of the wand can come together, and the horse can be penetrated, and it can just be very like that horse on Craigenford. Like it will bring your gold, it will bring the lead out of your gold, because when you really get in touch with your gift, it's ever present, and it's not something you have to wait for or focus on. It's just something you have to do, and you can constantly be it. Like me, I feel like this very beautiful thing is inside of me, right? And I'm just now externalizing it. And one day it's going to bring me everywhere that I need to travel in the world, still every access that I need to seeking those pleasures and material senses. Your second house, it doesn't code for money. Watch my natal chart synthesis and the 5 principles of organized complexity to really get into what the Venusian principle actually is through taste, pleasure, harmony, and everything that is just through the mother's milk of the Hermetic principles. But it's all part of your consciousness, and it's all becoming you. The narrative of your self-perception is what you manifest.